Hello and welcome to episode number 2 of the Book of Kels podcast. This week I'm joined by a very, very special guest, Miss Renee Cosh.
Woo-hoo.
Introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I am Renee. I am from Sydney, Australia. I am currently a business developer working also out of Bali. Met Kels through our gym and through a friend of mine, and the rest was history with Kels and I.
So. Yes, it is. And I think I'm not going to lie, I did have a bit of a friend fancy on you when I was in Soma. When I was in Soma training, I saw Renee training and she's an absolute machine at boxing, I'm not going to lie. And I watched her box one day and I literally went, do you remember the day I went over to you after you finished pads? And I was like, you are sick at pads. You definitely don't because I was so insignificant at the time.
It was like a crush at school, one of those cool girls.
Chasing you around.
No, not at all, no.
And I went up to Renee and I was like, you are class on the pads. And she just said, thanks girl. And then went on with the session.
It's hard because, Soma in Bali is a place where people just come in and out. So you always, people will approach me hey, how are you going? And then they're like, I'm here for a week. And you're subconsciously, you're like, I don't want to get to know you. You're going to break my heart.
I know. And that's one thing about Bali as well, is you make such good friends and then a month or two passes by and they're like, I'm going home. And I'm like, what do you mean?
I know. So much heartbreak. So that's probably why I don't remember.
Bro.
I was probably like, don't talk to me. I don't want to be heartbroken. That was what the issue was. Yeah.
No, but I definitely had a friend fancy for Renee. So we met through the gym and then Emma moved in to your villa and then we got to know each other and Renee's a legend, if you couldn't already tell. So I wanted to ask you in detail, if 16-year-old Renee was sitting here with us right now and she was looking at you recording this podcast, she was looking at your life, she was looking at you as a person, what would be her thoughts? What would she think of you?
I would be, I just got goosebumps. Oh, that's wild. I would be so proud of myself and I wouldn't be able to recognize myself because the direction I was heading in was grey. It was a grey direction that didn't exist and I never really thought about my future. And it's fun. I'm big on think about now and hopefully tomorrow, but I didn't have values and I just didn't have a core foundation of making sure that every single decision I make changes what decisions I'll make in the future. So if I say no to something, I'm going to create whole new decisions for later. Whereas if I say yes, it's going to create a different path. And back then I wasn't thinking of that. I didn't have a core value. I was just wanting to party. I was just wanting to, meet boys. I didn't have anything to motivate me. And now I know I feel happy. And that's my driver for everything, is just genuine serotonin happiness. And back then I didn't. So the fact I've changed my path is nothing but pride because, to be completely honest with you, Kels, I could have gone down a really shitty path. I was heading in that direction and my family saw it. They were like, Renee, what are you doing? I was getting kicked out of home. It's just a little shit. I wasn't growing up to school. I wasn't going to school ever. I literally skipped school so many times that my friends were on the back of my year 12 jersey. Do you have back of year 12 jerseys, names on your jerseys? No. In Australia, we have you get a jersey when you're in year 12 and you put a name and it means so cool. Yeah, it's really cool when you
we get TY hoodies.
Oh yeah, do you get to personalize them though? Always one step ahead in Sydney. Anyway, my friends wanted me to get no-show because I just would never go to school ever. So for me to show up at school was big, and so the only thing that I could really say 16-year-old me would look at me now is just proud. And I hope that, when I'm 30 and I'm looking back at this podcast, I'm proud of myself then too,
Emotional.
I know, I am a little bit. Just genuine pride. And if I'm proud of myself then, and again, it just comes from as long as I'm moving up, that's all that matters to me. But I'd be proud and I'd also be angry at myself for the in-between, I put myself through a lot of hell when I was in my early 20s of body image and looking for so much external validation that I'd be so mad at. And I'm mad at myself now looking back at then. But at the time, you think it's so healthy. And so 16-year-old me would have looked at, if a 16-year-old me was looking at 20-year-old me, if I was 20, I'd be like, oh, I'm so proud of myself. But I wasn't, because it's not until now that I realized that I was wrong then. Yeah. I was wrong and I regret that. That's one
regret.
A
little bit in denial, I'd say.
100% in denial. Dude, that gym industries are fucked.
Yes.
It is a rot and a scam to a degree.
We're here to change it. We're here to change it. That's what the root of this podcast is about. Happiness is about literally living your life by your core values, and that's what we're going to talk about. But when you say that you were angry in the process, in the kind of middle part, I think, let me ask you a different question to get perspective, okay? So to look at that middle part and see your anger for that middle part at yourself, would you change it? If you knew where it led you
No,
to
definitely
today?
not. Like, definitely not, but I just wish I had done it differently.
Okay.
Like, I wish I had done it differently because, again, going back to, like, looking at 6-year-old me, I could never put 6-year-old me in the feelings that I put 20-year-old me in. Why does age change that? I still should treat myself with the same love that I would treat a 6-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was 20, I was just looking for external validation. Again, I had met this boy whose values just never aligned to me, and I never had sat down and seen where our values aligned. Or if I did, I was only blind to maybe the 3 that did align, you know, like being healthy, being in the gym. So I would only look at those, and I would completely just shut away all the other shitty things and that he aligned with that I didn't align. Well, I shouldn't say shitty, that's who he is, whatever. But all the things that he aligned with that I didn't, I just pushed away. Whereas now, I wish I had, I don't, because I definitely have grown so much resilience and strength over that time. But I wish I had structured it differently where I didn't need to put myself through all of it to get to the lessons that I've learned today.
That's fair. That's fair.
But there's a saying that we used to say at school camp, right? There's 2 ways a kid will learn not to put their hand in the fire. One kid will put their hand in the fire, burn it, and the other kid will watch the kid put his hand in the fire and burn it, right?
That makes so much sense.
So much sense. And they won't do it again.
No.
So I kind of wish that wasn't me. I watched someone else do it.
You put your hand in the fire.
Yeah, I put my hand in the fire.
I put my hand in the fire a little bit.
Yeah, right?
I'm the queen of like dipping my toe in order to find out if I like something or not.
Yeah.
One of those things.
Yeah, because I'm such a yes
man.
Men. I'm here on the podcast talking about men to the biggest lesbian I know. How's that check out?
But
you got to check to see what you like. Right?
Yeah, exactly. You got to dip your toe. Some people have watched other people dip their toe and realised that they shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I definitely dipped my toe and it wasn't for me. But
wait, I want to go back to that. Sorry, Mum and Dad, if you're watching, to Kelsey's parents. Was there a moment where you just like got with a guy? Not for me.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
No.
Yes.
Because he very well might.
Yeah, but you're friendly. Hello.
Yeah.
I don't know your
name. There's a reason why I did dip my toe with you.
Yeah, thank you for putting Kelsey into this.
Just not my, you were a cup of tea and I prefer coffee. Yeah, there was a point where I just realised that there was a difference in how I felt when I was with a guy versus when I was
How
with
do you
a girl.
feel like once you changed that and you shifted like and you opened your mind up to who you are, how do you feel like that changed everything else in your life?
I think it's a very scary process because for such a long time I was living by a different image. And
did you know that you were living by a different image or you didn't know yet?
I did and I didn't because I sometimes when you're going through like kind of like a battle, I will call it a battle with like your sexuality, it is a very, very difficult process. And you're constantly battling with yourself because you're thinking of like external validation. So I went to an all-girls school. So in an all-girls school...
Bitchy! Yeah. Anyway.
In an all-girls school, it's just the common topic to talk about lads, right? Because there's no lads in school, so you just talk about lads all the time.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah, so I'm immersed in this environment where everybody's talking about guys and I'm trying to fit in, I'm trying to be liked, I'm trying to be accepted, especially when you're so young. That's all you want to be, right? Is just accepted.
Yeah, especially in school. Preps to you if you go to school because that shit sucks.
Yeah,
and it's hard and no one gives you credit. If you make it through school, fuck yeah. Carry on.
And so I'm like, buying into this conversation and I'm, getting with guys and I'm just trying to fit in ultimately. And then when I left school, everything kind of shifted because I could be my own person.
Oh my God, what a weight off your shoulders.
I know, because you can be your own person when you leave school. I'm not saying that you can't be your own person when you're in school. And I think it's a lot more open now compared to, it's not like it's been years and years and years since I've been in school, but it has been like quickly developing since I left. So I feel like a lot more people can be themselves in school and they can like who they like and they can be who they are. But when I left school, there was a lot less pressure on me because I didn't have to show up in front of these people every single day and worry about what they were going to think. I could go and live my life, and if I didn't want someone to know that I was gay or if I was liking girls, I didn't have to. I didn't have to, you know, I didn't have to go into school every day.
Yeah, because people aren't at you all the time.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how draining.
Because if you think of it, like, you're sitting in a, like, lunchroom with, like, a bunch of girls, and I had, like, the most amazing friends. They were all great. But it's just that fear of them all, like, being like, he's hot, and then I'm like,
and you can't connect with that feeling, I bet. Yeah, you're like, wait,
and then
what?
I'm like, she's hot, and they're all just like, what? And then it becomes a whisper. It becomes a whisper, like, did you hear what Kelsey said? Like, she's liking girls, blah, 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 blah. And then you just get paranoid because you feel like, okay, can I not be part of this group anymore because we've nothing, like, to talk about?
And you feel like you've detached from a common thing that you had.
And it's just the fear of losing friends. It's just the fear of, like, people looking at you differently. It's just the fear of being different. That's all that it is. And I think that after school, I really just embodied it. And through the journey that I've been on with myself, with, like, who I like and stuff like that, it's definitely become more accepting. I have not once hidden who I am since I came to Bali, and I feel like that's just a big part of me growing as a person. And I don't hide who I am regardless of my sexuality. I am me. I feel like you can back me on that.
Preach it to the choir.
Sir, I literally just embody who I am. I stick by my values. And to dive a little bit more into values, the process of becoming unapologetically who you are is so difficult. I feel like it's so challenging, and it requires a lot of resilience, because if you think of, you're conditioned to have these beliefs, and that's where we're going to dive into a little bit about values and body image now, because I think it ties in so much to my growth as a person, both embracing my sexuality and who I am, is when you are brought up in a society that is conditioning you to have a perfect look, to have, like, this unachievable level of attractiveness because you want to be validated by your friends, you want to be validated by the opposite sex, or you want to be validated just in general by society. You have a lot to deal with when you go against that. When you have a trait like, you know, I was surrounded by a bunch of girls who are into guys, and that's perfectly fine. Maybe there are some of those girls who would reach out to me and, you know, say something, but
or they could be gay.
Or they could be gay. When you're growing up and you are stuck in a group that is, well, you're not stuck, but you're in a group where everybody's talking about something that you can't entirely relate to. You're just trying to
not even entirely. Like, if you're gay and you feel like that's not you, like, that'd be so hard to try and relate to in the first place, you know?
But also, I think that sexuality is like a spectrum, so you know,
okay, so you feel like there's a little bit.
Yeah. So it's like, sometimes it is 100%, sometimes it's a certain percent, but I'm just saying I'm on the further end. I'm on the further end of the percent.
I'm on this end, sis.
I'm on that end, she's on that end.
Yeah, that's okay.
We're waving to each other.
We don't have to compete for anyone. It works out well.
I'll be her wing woman, but, you know, there's never a threat of me stealing her man, don't worry.
To be fair, she gets protective over me. It's okay, it's cute.
I'll fight you. Hurt my Renee and I'm coming for you. So, growing up in a society that gives you this unachievable image of perfection, it gives you an unachievable image of attractiveness, and you're constantly striving for those things that ultimately come down to getting lucky with genetics, and, like, comes from all of this social media feed of, like, this is how you should look in order to be attractive to men, and this is how you should act in order to be attractive, and this is how you need to have your body look like in order to be accepted. It's so fucked. It's
so fucked. And what's even more fucked is you'll always hear, if you ever meet me or if you're ever friends with me or whatever it is, if you're Kelsey's friend, I am so big on what's called nature versus nurture. Mm-hmm. And what's so scary is when you're brought up, you just think it's nurture. You just think it's what you've been told. I'm really big on primitive mindset as well. So, like, this is where I get wacky, but basically I'm just really big on, like, we have instincts for a reason, and, like, we, you know, everything we do relates back to our primal selves, But in saying that, that's where the natural side comes in. But what's scary is when you're a 13-year-old girl living in such a westernized society, you just think it's nurture. And when I promise you, the day you start to look at nature and the natural effects and how you actually feel is the day you will get freedom. Because you're stopping thinking about the fucking curriculum, what our parents' generation had been taught, and you question all the things that had been told to you as a 13-year-old, and you question that nurture side, how you've been brought up, why you were watching TV so often, why your dinner was at a certain time, why you're told to look like this on every level. So everything you'd been nurtured from, literally the food you ate to being told you have to get a job straight after school, the day you question that is the day that you will become free. And it's that simple.
And I think a big part of that is like when people talk about being insecure, when people talk about parts of themselves that they're not happy with, that all comes from what you are conditioned to believe by society and by the people that you were brought up by and the people that you were brought up around, because you were not born out of the womb hating your nose.
And what about gorillas or something, right? The primitive side of things. You think gorillas and any other fucking animals on the primal side of things hate their bodies? No, it's only humans because we're freaks.
Exactly. Because if you can learn, and this takes time, if you
did
can
not
learn...
come out of the womb hating your nose.
Did you like that one?
I liked it.
It's so true though, because you're not
so
born
true.
out of the womb hating your nose. You're not born out of the womb with all these insecurity. They are learned. They are brought onto you by other people. They are projections of other people's insecurities that society has.
That's exactly what it is. It's projections of other insecurities. Yeah, and then you just take it on board and you think that you've just taken all this baggage so subconsciously. Yes. So subconsciously.
And I think when it comes to the opposite side of that and learning to appreciate your body for what it can do and the amazing things that it grants you to be able to do every single day, even from a mind-body connection perspective, like how much you can learn, how much you can grow by the environment that you put yourself in, how much that you can learn by what you expose yourself to. And you can filter that exposure on Instagram. You don't have to sit there and look at all of these people with like the so-called perfect bodies. You can literally go onto Instagram and you can favorite people, and then you can create your own Instagram feed based on what you really want to expose yourself to. Like you can choose to change that exposure for yourself. You can choose to change that inner narrative for yourself.
I do that on TikTok, you know, like if a video comes up and I still watch it, say I'm watching it and it's something about body image that I don't actually want to pay attention to, even if I watch it, I'll like make sure I don't like it, and then I'll go and like something that I want to come up on my feed later on, because I know cookies are watching, and I know the freaking FBI and whatever are watching. They're watching, and they were going to take, so even if like something comes up that I am interested in, but I just don't want a video to come up like that again because it's taking up so much of my time. Like if it's literally, for instance, like a Big Brother or like a Love Island preview, that's like, obviously this is interesting. I'm going to stop and watch it. I'm just going to make sure I don't like it because I don't want it to keep coming up on my feed. And so I start liking things that at the time I'm not interested in, like self-help videos. Like I'm not interested in that right this second because I'm caught up in Love Island, but I'm going to like the self-help videos so that they come up more often, so that I end up liking that stuff.
And that's going against the algorithm, because the algorithm will push you into a corner and it will feed you what it thinks, you know, you want to see. And that might be like perfect bodies, that might be models, that might be like all of these super successful people.
Yeah.
But if you can choose to go against that and be like, no, I understand what's happening here. I understand how the algorithm works, and I understand that it's going to really mess with my mental health if I keep.
Kels, show me your explore page. I'll show you mine right now.
Okay. We're whipping out the explore page.
I can almost
oh my God, we have 5 minutes
guarantee you. Oh my gosh, we have 5 minutes left.
We can go.
I was literally going to say, I can guarantee it's just going to be fighting videos.
Videos for Renee.
It's just the UFC.
Fighting videos for
the
Renee.
UFC.
Honestly, just
boxers. And maybe rappers.
Honestly, mine is books, gym.
Yeah, my God, that's self-help stuff, Kels.
Self-help, a lot of self-help stuff.
Literally, I don't know if people can see this. Mine's just the UFC. It'll just be UFC or dog videos. The UFC.
Oh, that's the best.
It's so good. Like, we just love it.
Yeah, mine is literally just books.
But I remember like when I was so heavily in the gym industry, I was just seeing like bodybuilders. I'm not even going to name names because those women, to be completely honest, 3-4 years later on the same page I'm on, and they're trying to promote everything they weren't promoting then. But there are Australian influencers out there that they were just coming up on my feed, and I was so comparing myself just because I was seeing them every day. And now I forget they even existed. And I'm forgetting about, are my abs symmetrical, which is something I used to always stress about when I was doing all this shit, Are my quads
abs
popping?
Symmetrical.
I used to be so paranoid that this inner teardrop wasn't popping. I'm serious. My ex-boyfriend and I would I'd have to do leg extensions like this because all I wanted to do was work on my inner teardrop. Ridiculous.
Oh my God. I've done a lot of work on body image because both myself and Renee have a past in getting very lean in order for like shows, competition, photo shoots, whatever it is. But we're on the complete other side of that. And I believe, I was sucked into that a little bit. When you're in that industry, it's very easy to become a little bit brainwashed into it and believe that, leaner is healthier and like leaner is this, leaner is that, leaner is happier. You do not need to be leaner in order to fix your body image. If you get lean and you think that is the solution to your body image issues, no. Your body
Train
image
to be
issues,
healthy.
Your body image issues will go with you throughout that process.
They'll get worse.
If you don't work on that directly and not just like put yourself in a calorie deficit to lose weight or to lose fat, it's perfectly fine to want to change your body, but not for any other reason than like your health and just like comfort and confidence. I think that when you really take a step back and look at it from this perspective, this is like something I absolutely love. So, the way you're saying you were worrying about being absymmetrical, you were worrying about like the teardrop muscle on your leg and stuff like that.
Stupid shit. My shin muscles.
Shin muscles.
They're shin muscles. I'm so embarrassed. Anyway.
But if you take a step back and say, right, I want to live my life to the absolute best possible standard or the best possible way. If you looked at a person and said, what makes them a good person? You're not going to go, oh yeah, they have a six-pack.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Do you know what I mean?
And if you did say that, you ain't my friend. Get out, go align yourselves.
They're a really good person because they have a six-pack. Yeah, that makes no sense.
If you like that, I don't want you in my life. You know what I mean? Like, seriously.
That makes no sense.
But in saying that, Kels, I'm just gonna challenge you a little bit on that, because you need to be healthy. And it's not saying you have to have a six-pack, but I'm saying if you are an over obese person and you're my friend, I'm going to say to you, it's time to get healthy.
Yeah, for the purpose of your health.
If you look healthy, and I'm not talking about if you look lean, I'm saying if you look healthy, and there's such a big difference in that, like you're going to resonate healthy energy and you're going to be happier and that's different. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And even the confidence that comes with that as well.
Yeah.
Like knowing that you're looking after yourself brings you a lot of confidence.
But understanding the difference of looking like a bodybuilder versus looking healthy and understanding that that's two separate things. Oh my God, what a good day it was when I realized that, you know what I mean? Like, massive.
When I shifted my mindset from being like this lean, stereotypical personal trainer on Instagram who's going to like help clients get like the results that they want, and most of the time clients come to me, they're like, I want fat loss, I want this, I want that. I'm so lucky to have clients that literally come to me and they're like, I want to feel more confident and I want to build strength and I want to build muscle.
Shout out to Kels's clients.
They're absolute legends. We love them. But when I shifted my mindset from being, okay, I'm going to be this like body perfect personal trainer on Instagram that like literally uses my body for marketing, to shifting my mindset to I'm going to be a great person that helps these people to live
that makes
such
a good personal trainer
life, and not using my body for marketing, but the way I change these people's lives, or the way that I made them feel. Because I read a quote before, and it said something along the lines of like, not many people are going to remember what you did, but nobody will forget how you made them feel.
Whoo!
Do you know?
Yeah, the feels around that.
Yeah.
So actually, it's funny you mention that, because when you talk about, like, there's a PT that I had originally worked with, and he's never going to remember this conversation, and if for whatever reason, Dom, you're watching this, you played a massive role in my life. And he has no idea, because we had one conversation. my training routine used to work like this, and nobody listened to it because never do it. But I was working at a gym as a club manager at the time, and I was waking up at 6, going to train at a Fitness First, doing an hour and a half of weights, coming back to the gym, opening the club. On my lunch break, I'd drive up to Forest Way Shopping Centre. I would do an F45 class. I'd come back to work. Then sometimes my PT at the time, Emily, wouldn't have enough numbers in her class. So then I'd jump in the class. And then after I was doing an hour and a half of Bikram yoga. If you've ever done Bikram yoga, you'll know out of all of that, that's the most challenging thing.
That is the most challenging.
And then I remember I was on the treadmill one day at Fitness First, and a PT had walked up to me and been like, Renee, you look like lean. And it was the first time that it was concerning, you look lean. You know, I had all this validation from the guy I was seeing at the time, and I had all this validation from my friends and family. Oh my gosh, you're so cool, like you're looking so lean, because they weren't they weren't into fitness at the time, so they didn't understand that I was unhealthy. And
from
he
an
said,
outsider's perspective, that's like, oh, she's like
killing it.
Yeah. She must be so happy and
until
proud
you
of
do
herself.
it. Yeah.
And then you're miserable.
Yeah. And we're coming from the people that have done it.
Yeah.
And then I remember Dom had said to me, how many calories are you eating? And I was tracking my chewing gum on my Fitness Pal. I was tracking my water consumption. I'm talking, which is great, you track your water consumption, that's cool. But I was seriously tracking my chewing gum, like everything was getting tracked. And I showed him my Fitness Pal, and I was eating 1,000 calories a day. To be doing the exercise I was doing, I was 20 running a gym. In that in itself is using so many calories, just the focus in that. And to be doing that, he said to me, he was like, that's wrong, just straight up said to me. And I literally told him to fuck off. To this day, I think about he was right and I was so wrong. And at the time I was like, he has no idea, because I'm getting all this validation from other people. When he was coming from a place where he knew I'd be sitting in this seat today telling this exact thing back to somebody else who's probably going to say, fuck off, and they're going to be on a treadmill, keep doing their thing until in 3 years they realize that that's right, and they're going to be trying to pass that on and trying to convey that message to anyone that will listen.
And the thing that you are placing on being lean is probably your self-worth as a person. Sometimes I actually see it a lot. I'm not even going to say sometimes. I see it a lot where people will literally place their entire self-worth on the way that they look and on the scales also. And that's a question that I got last night on Instagram by someone, and they said, like, I can't, like, stop letting the scales dictate my mood that day. And I'm like, to have been in that mindset, it blows my mind that the world has literally made us
a number
on the scales, and putting our whole self-worth on a number on the scales, stepping on the scales in the morning and then seeing that it's not saying what you want it to say, and then letting it ruin an entire day. If you explain that, if a dog could speak to you for a day, and you had to explain, okay, so there's this.
That's so good. No. That is so good.
Genuinely, if you were to like speak to your dog and you say, okay, do you know what this is? This is the scales. Each morning we step on it, and it's going to dictate whether we are in a really good mood that day or whether we're in a really shit mood that day.
Yeah, how do humans run the world, bro? We're whack. We are wacky tobacco.
The dog would be like, what do you mean? Just bring me for a walk and feed me and I'm happy.
Yeah, like, fuck off. And that's the other thing as well, is like, I got on the scales for the first time in 3 years, 2 months ago. So I'm still on a journey. Don't get me wrong. Like, we're
both still on a journey.
We're all still on a journey, 100%.
Linear.
The first time ever, 2 months ago. And again, Rosella, if you're watching, she had to take the number, and I closed my eyes, and it was for fighting because I'm fighting Muay Thai. And she had to, and I was like, I'm not getting on the scales. I'm not fighting. And she's like, you're seriously not fighting because of it? I didn't look at the number. The next week I went in, and I had been thinking about that all week. I'm not looking at a fucking number. Like, I need that for sport. Like, it was a genuine purpose. Like, I actually needed that number. Great. But I realized that I placed so much value on this number that had no meaning. All it meant was, sweet, I can fight this chick because she's at the same weight as me. You know what I mean? And now I look at it and I'm like, that's ridiculous. If I was to ever go back, I would never have gotten on the scales, and I would have taken measurements. Measurements, or I would have taken a photo in the mirror.
Yeah.
And
photos,
compared
visuals,
the mirror. Yeah, visuals.
Like that.
And how I feel, and I would have made sure it was aligned with my menstrual cycle. And I would have said, okay, week 1 of my menstrual cycle this time, week 1 of my menstrual cycles this time, and then compared those two rather than comparing it week before, week after, whatever it is.
Renee, you're speaking my language.
You know what I mean, sis? Like, that's all it is. And I did 75 hard, And I took a photo every day, and the one thing I didn't do in the 75 hard was take my weight, because I didn't want to get back into that state where I am. But now now I know I could get on the scales and it wouldn't mean much to me anymore. Exactly. You know, maybe I would still slightly get affected subconsciously, absolutely.
Because you're conditioned.
Because I'm conditioned.
Like years and years of conditioning doesn't just go away overnight.
No.
You have to work on that. You have to be resilient. And it comes from that inner narrative as well, because for so long I stepped on the scales, I let it dictate my mood, I let it dictate my day, and it just came to a point. I
wouldn't drink water if it meant I could lose a gram. I would seriously make sure I went and pooed beforehand.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I understand that. I've been there. And I think when you keep telling yourself, like, this number doesn't affect me, this number doesn't affect me, this number doesn't affect me, then it becomes, it becomes real. And you start to believe it. And it's like, okay, this number doesn't actually mean what society tells me it means. It doesn't mean that I'm any less than who I am. It's literally just a number.
Yeah, imagine taking, like, Steve Jobs' job because he's a kilo heavier. Doesn't mean shit, man. He did what he did because he's a freaking G. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
like anyone like that, like, no one's success is going to be taken away from a number. But as well as I always have to challenge you, is we need to make sure we're always staying healthy.
Yeah.
So,
but what I'm getting at is, like, Renee is a G. Like, she's the definition of a G. She gets up and she will train so hard. She's become a fighter. She
Not really.
You are. I wouldn't fight you.
A street fighter. See me in a bar, girls. Watch out.
Bare knuckle fights.
No.
And she gets up every day. She makes sure she goes and trains, and she enjoys life. And
but I do that for my endorphins.
I know, but I really, really value that in you. Like, that's one of the reasons I think we connected so hard, is because don't leave me hanging. Because honestly, like, you are a little bit of an inspiration for me. And you don't, like, people like Renee, they won't know. I'll be friends with her. We have great conversations. But she is a little bit of an inspiration, because I said, I friend fancied her because I saw good values in her. I saw her training super hard every single day. I saw her
goosebumps, literal.
I saw her just being herself and not looking for anything, like, no extrinsic validation or motivators. Renee just gets up and she knows that she enjoys training, so she goes and she does it, and she works hard at it, and she tests herself.
And I enjoy training because I've conditioned myself to enjoy it for how I feel. So conditioning can be two ways. You can condition yourself into your values and make sure that you condition your lifestyle to align with values, or you can condition yourself subconsciously out of your values, right? So I literally said to someone today, if I don't train, I'm going to be a bitch, just because I'm just going to be, like, subconsciously, like, my endorphins aren't there. And primitively, we're supposed to move our body, and I won't feel good. So I train for feeling good. Like, I know it's going to create focus. It's going to stop my brain fog, and I'm going to be able to smile and make those around me happy. And that's my biggest values. I want my friends and family to be happy. And I know that I can bring that energy if I've exercised.
Yeah. So I did a course, I just finished it up there a couple of weeks ago. It's mental health and exercise coaching. And the biggest, like, message that they are trying to portray is exercise because of how it makes you feel, and not for any other reason, like how you look or anything like that. And you will be so much more successful in the long run with your consistency in exercise, with your consistency in action towards your goal, if you go for how it will make you feel, and not, like, because of, if I burn 400 calories in this session, it means I can eat 300 calories later and wake up lighter tomorrow. That is going to absolutely fuck you over if in the morning you are up on the scales.
I had a cookie once, 3 years ago. I had a cookie once, and I did 85 minutes on the Stairmaster the next day.
85 minutes?
85. The Stairmaster stopped. I had to get back on because it told enough. And that was for one cookie.
It's bad when the Stairmaster tells you get off.
That is the most embarrassing thing I've ever told anyone. That is so ridiculous.
Girl,
and I was proud of myself.
I've been there. I've been on the Stairmasters for an hour every single morning for about 4 months.
I'm waste of time. What a waste of time. I should have
for what? Like a photo?
For what? No, so I would feel comfortable getting in bed with my boyfriend. That's what it was. And he would do the same.
But right now, I actually really, like, if 16-year-old Kels could look at me now and be like, oh my God, we feel like that? Because right now, if someone came into my life...
They already have, baby. If
someone came into my life and was like, oh my God, I can't be with you because, you don't have, like, a really defined six-pack, I'd be like, okay, then leave. That's a you problem.
I would be like... Loser.
Problem. And I have just done so much work on myself in terms of my confidence, in terms of like
Dude, imagine how lame that is. Like, well, imagine how
Renee literally says this all the time. Like when we talk about like maybe things that are going through our heads.
I don't know what's coming. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. She's like, if you voice that opinion to them and you voice how you're feeling, and they still can't see from your perspective, that's a them problem. That's a them problem.
Okay. Side note: Kels has come to me with issues before, and someone else has come with me with issues before. These issues involve each other, and I look at them. I'm like, I love you. I really want to hear what you're saying. Why the fuck are you telling me? Go communicate with them, and then if they don't like it, that's a them problem. That's not a you problem. Yeah. Because you have just straight up said how you feel, and that's that simple.
Exactly. So if you are trying to change your body for the validation of someone else, I think it really does come from the perspective of, I don't fully believe this, but
you need to be healthy, X, Y, Z.
You need to be healthy. That's the bottom line.
But you can have like chocolate here and there, whatever. Who gives a fuck? Kelsey and I went for ice cream last night, but just...
And it was banging. It was s'mores.
Yeah, s'mores. It was, but like, eat a salad a day. Yeah. And then eat veggies. Pizza. Who cares?
You know what I mean? You need... So the best kind of analogy I've heard for like living your best life, but also like, you know, not taking the piss, is parent yourself, you know? Because you're going to say to a child, right, I know what they need, and there's going to be things that they want. You know?
Bro,
there's going to be things that they want, but you need to parent and say, okay, but first I need to give you what you need.
Yeah.
And then we can like compromise here and there and say, okay, we can, you know, give you what you want every now and again. But you need to parent yourself. Honestly, grow up.
Yeah, grow up, everyone.
Put your adult cap on and just go and live your life, but don't take the piss.
But grow up, but also be a kid. Have some chocolate.
Yeah, or ice cream. I'm more of an ice cream.
See, I'm chocolate. Anyway.
Yes. So what I wanted to ask you was, if you were to narrow down your values to 3 core, what would they be?
Oh,
that's a tough question.
Yeah.
If you want, I can go first.
No, I'm gonna just go fire. Independence.
Yes.
Independence. Being able to be alone. Okay, so for me, I always say, like, whether it be a relationship, whatever, I want somebody to want me and not need me. And I feel like that's the same. I want to want someone, but I don't want to need someone. So independence is a big one for me. Resilience, being able to get through tough times, and just make sure that, you know, whatever comes, like, I can handle it. I'm Renee Cosh. I can fucking do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can handle it. So being resilient as well. And that comes over time. And I would say loyalty. I really am like loyal to the ones that I love. Like, and if you're not loyal to me and you don't align with my values, then see you later. Because if 2 people are loyal to each other, you can take on the world. Like, ultimately, it's just that simple. Mm-hmm. So I'd probably say, yeah, those are three big ones. I mean, I could probably come up with 3,000 more, but they're my big values.
Yeah, I love that. I think my values have always been deep rooted, but I haven't always lived in alignment with them because of things like we spoke about earlier, like my sexuality. So a big core value for me is authenticity.
Whew.
And I feel like I couldn't be authentic to who I was for a very long time. And that is nobody's fault other than myself. A little bit from society, but that is just like a fear that was conditioned into me. And that was just like, you know, you see all of these things.
Yeah, but no point in blaming people. Let's just be us. Yeah.
The LGBT community. And I think I couldn't live authentically just because of what I saw and what the world's a bit shit sometimes. But when I really stepped into that and I said, you know what, I'm going to be so unapologetically myself. I worked with a therapist. I worked with a mindset coach. Shout out to Zoe Dunley. She's going to be on here soon. And speaking my truth and being unapologetically myself. Stop using filters on Instagram. Like, stop worrying so much about what people are going to think and just be myself, because people love that. And I cannot express how much I value my circle of people around me in my life right now, because I know that they love me for who I am.
Me too. Stop with these goosebumps, bro.
I'm really
you're really getting the goosies going
anyway. So authenticity is one of my biggest core values, and I think growth, constantly
amen.
trying
Preach.
to grow.
Actually, I'd pick that as well.
You
Sorry.
pick that as well. Okay, she's stealing. She's stealing.
She's stealing. Yeah, sorry.
Stealing. So growth, it's a big part of like my brand. It's a big part of like who I am. I think that as long as you're growing, you're moving in the right direction. And I think trusting that process as well of growth, it's not linear, you know. It's like if you planted a seed to grow a really beautiful flower, you wouldn't dig it up every 5 minutes to see if it was growing. You would just let it and then let it flourish. And there's going to be rainy days, there's going to be days where there's no sun, there's going to be days where all of this there's going to be days where, you know, we don't get any sun, but you just got to keep trusting the process and keep knowing that the growth is coming. And then the last one is probably passion. And I don't know if you've already told by like the first episode of this podcast and the second and what I've spoken about, but I'm so passionate about people really living life, because we were not put on the planet to diet. We weren't put on the planet to step on the scales every single morning. We weren't put on the planet to like be insecure. We were put on the planet to have connections with people. We were put on the planet to make an impact and make change and just live life. And living life is not stepping on the scales every day and making it miserable if it doesn't say what you want it to say.
Amen. Fucking amen. So basically, walk out of here and have a chocolate bar. Yeah.
I think that's a really good note to end on.
Yeah. I think I'm going to do the same.
Yeah. Actually,
I'm going to have a salad and then chocolate bar because I really want.
Well, I had an almond croissant before we came in.
Yeah,
it was banging.
I was actually going to order Gojek in the middle, but I thought it'd be bad if we just opened the door to
Gojek is dangerous over here because you can literally order one cookie.
They look like this would be the uniform that I would wear for Gojek.
You look like a Gojek driver right now. But that is a perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Renee for coming on.
Always. Yeah.
I do have one question for next week's episode for the listeners to think about, or the watchers, depending if you're on YouTube or Spotify. So the question for next week is, what information in your life could you be deleting right now? Okay, so that you're probably like, what the hell does that mean? But think about it. What information could you be deleting right now in your life?
Nature versus nurture here. Think about what you've been taught.
Yeah. So that could be, okay, like information that society has taught you, information that's not serving you anymore, people that aren't serving you anymore. What information could you be deleting, and how is that going to make you move forward as a person and help you grow? So that is something for you to think about. It's something for you to possibly write down and journal about while you wait for next week's episode. But once again, thank you so much for listening. I'm really looking forward to next week's episode. Renee, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Whoop whoop, let's go.
I love it. Okay, have a great day, and we will see you in the next episode.
Mwah.